Hey, wrestling card collectors, welcome to another edition to WTC TV, I call it. I don't know why I call it that. Probably from the old RVD TV days, I think that's right. So today we're kind of
Sounds cool.
starting, what was that?
I said it sounds cool. It sounds like an old radio station or something.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it worked for him. It can work for me too, I guess. But I think today we're kind of picking things up from where we had before in the past, which was like I call it collectors from around the world. And I was really looking for people kind of outside the United States. Where I was doing, I had one from the UK. I even interviewed a guy from Malaysia and one guy from Australia. But I thought, why just limit it to international stuff? Let's just kind of talk to everybody and see how everybody collects, kind of thing, and how they collect and where they collect and stuff like that. So today I have, I guess it's Gary
Yep.
was it Joy? Is it JoyPadLad? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, JoyPadLad.com. You got it.
Yeah. So I was checking out your website and I was like, am I getting the right guy on this, man? Because it's all video games. I saw like your Macari account has like a lot of comic books on it. eBay has games. And you had like a very small section of trading cards and none of them wrestling.
Yeah, so
So as
I don't
Hurricane
know.
would say is, what's up with that?
So you probably asked me on because I talk about cards more than I, sell them or even show them off because I don't really have a big collection of cards per se. If it depends on what you count, because like you're the raw deal guy, you're the king of raw deal with Tony Vella cards. You've had it for so long, selling raw deal cards and stuff. I have my own collection, right here. There's some of it, some raw deal
Look at
right there.
that. Some raw deal, buddy. Look at that.
And there's two more binders. Actually, I have some WCW Nitro as well. But
Ah,
like, I
boy,
don't collect
that game died hard, didn't it?
that game. Yeah, it never really lived either. It was at the end of WCW when WCW was going down, and it was probably just as bad
we'll
or
take
close to
any
as bad.
licensing agreement.
It was like just as bad or close to as bad as how the company was at the end, where it was just kind of like bizarre. But I heard they actually reused most of the mechanics of that game for like some Harry Potter game later. I was reading up on it. It's not like a bad game overall. It's just raw deal blows it out of the water. But
Yeah.
what sucks is you just don't have like a WCW card game. So at least it's something. I just bought those recently. I have like another binder. I have a bunch of um, those giant shoe boxes, like the big ones, and there's decks of like almost all the main guys I consider, the early onsets, a deck of each guy, just because I want to be able to play it for fun. They're not like the best deck, like championship level decks, but I just always like the game, and I got
We're
out of it
talking
for a
raw
while.
deal.
Raw deal, yeah. I have some WCW decks as well, but I just always liked the game because I just liked card games. And then I went into the comic book shop one time when it had to be when it came out in '99, right?
2000.
2000. So we just walked into the comic book shop and looked behind the counter. I'm like, what? There's a WWF card game, and it was the Undertaker. I still have. You probably can't see it, but way back in that corner up there, there's the bin that had Stone Cold and The Rock in it,
Oh,
and
the,
then there's
the lunch pail?
yeah, I still
Yeah.
have that. And then there's a box because recently, a few years ago, before the prices all went up, I bought a bunch of like booster boxes and stuff all the time, and I was opening packs and all that. So most of what I have is all new, like not secondhand.
Oh, that's
I just
great.
yeah, I bought even like just a few years ago. I was still buying it brand
Yeah,
new.
you could buy like a lot of boxes like on Hills Wholesale and stuff like that. We're selling a ton of them. And
Yeah, it
Potomac
was
was
like a
selling for a while.
hundred, 200 bucks for some of them, not, but like not. I mean, that was a lot then, but like even now, it's ridiculous that you can't even find it. That's the problem. Is if you want to find it, it's not even on sites like that, or even like your
Oh,
sites.
they're
There's a lot
gone.
of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all
I mean,
gone.
I haven't had packs and I never sold booster boxes before, but I've had decks and I've had loose packs, but I haven't had that in forever.
Yeah, so I bought a bunch of that, and I still have over there too, which you can't see is one of the booster boxes with most of the originals in it, like Jericho and Undertaker and Kane. And I still have the empty boxes in there just for display because it's cool. Because I remember seeing it in the store, and I got Jericho, and he's actually I have a board off screen here. It's like a magnetic board, and I put magnets on the back of these top
Oh, okay.
loaders, and so that's my original Jericho from
Oh yeah.
2000.
That's Premiere right there.
Yeah, from Premiere. I even have I don't know when this happened, but there's like you probably can't see it, but it's like bent right here, um, on the end.
Okay.
You can't really see it, but Maybe if I hold it like that, it's a little bent.
A
But
little bit.
I still have it, but I bought another one for one of my decks and a bunch of other cards as well. I have some other guys up here as well. I have like the WCW because I just bought some more packs recently. I have a
Oh,
Hall and a
Scott Hall
Nash
one.
right here.
Yeah.
That's like pack fresh. Kevin Nash, because
Nice.
Scott Hall was always my favorite wrestler. After when I was a kid, Ultimate Warrior was, but I didn't really know much about wrestling or even I don't remember watching it. That's what was weird. I was like, how did I know wrestling when I was a kid? We never were allowed to watch it, but I knew I liked Ultimate Warrior. And then later on, I saw Razor Ramon and liked him. And then later on, Jericho and WCW and just his antics and everything. And the way he wrestled too. It was like the perfect combination. So he became like my favorite guy. So top all time now, Scott Hall, number one, and then Jericho, number two. Kevin Nash is up there as
Well,
well.
are you going to come out to Redlands, California?
I don't know. I was born there, so I probably should, right? But
Because your home operation now is in Nevada, but you're originally from SoCal.
yeah, I was born in Redlands, and I lived in and around there for a while. Ukaipa, when I was younger, just all the neighboring cities. And when I lived out there just a year ago, I lived not too far from there.
So you're
Around the
going to
same area.
Vegas is not a big. I mean, going to Nevada is not a big deal for you, man. You're used to that heat.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a little bit tough. This house gets pretty hot too because it's a larger house, and there's like I'm not like trying to brag at the house because it's just my stepdad's house that we're renting. And he gave us a good deal because I ended up losing my job last year with the shutdowns and everything.
Uh-huh.
They laid me off. It was more complicated than that because they also just did a remodel. They were trying to save money. The guy that got me my position got fired, and the guy that was my boss didn't like me. So it was like, oh, we gotta
All the
cut.
bad
Yeah,
ingredients of a
it's
new
like
job.
it's like we gotta cut someone. Oh well,
Okay.
I have like 10 reasons to get rid of this guy right here. So it worked out for them, and then worked out for us because same thing with my brother. He's been doing better and making more money, even though he may have lost this or that or suffered this or that because of everything in the last year. We're doing just as fine out here. My stepdad gave us a good deal on the house. It's a pretty big house. There's like multiple AC units because it's so big. So you got to be like in one room and then turn on the AC for that room just to stay cool because it gets
Uh,
so hot. It was like 115 every day, and then like the lowest it gets is like 90 degrees in the middle of the night. So it
yeah.
sucks.
I'm
But
in Phoenix, Arizona. I feel you on that one.
yeah,
I know how
yeah.
it is.
I've been out there,
Thank
so
God,
I
thank
know
God the monsoons have been keeping things a little bit cooler lately. So,
it was
um,
crazy. Did you have like the huge flooding and all that
oh
like
yeah,
a couple
oh
weeks
yeah,
ago?
yeah. I've had to go out in the front and repair things multiple times because the high winds come
Yeah,
out of
it's nuts.
nowhere and the thunder and lightning all day, and then all of a sudden it rains hard for like a half hour, 45 minutes,
See, so
and then it
that's
goes away.
different. That's different than here because we had like one day and then it was a couple days of nothing and then it came back like a light. It was like an aftershock almost.
Yeah.
And there's like because no one has grass really out here. In case people don't know, I don't I it doesn't I'm not hiding where I live because it's on my business. Is I live in Pahrump, which is an hour away from Vegas. It's like middle of the nowhere desert, little town, and they don't have like grass really on any of the buildings or anything outside. It's all rocks.
Yep.
So with so much water that came down, it flooded the whole street with rocks.
Yep.
And so I had packages I had to take out that day. And I'm like, I go every day if I can. I usually take one day off during the week. And I said, I got to go to the post office. So once the water goes down, like once the little ditches outside our house, once the water goes down and I can drive over it, then I'm going. And so I went, and it was literally like where they have like those jeeps, you can test them, and you
Yep.
can go up rocks. There's like one intersection where I literally had to drive, and I was going like this over the rocks. But luckily, I have a truck, and I bought tires to go over gravel and stuff because I knew there was a lot of that out here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was just that for like a day, and then it flooded again the next day. But like it was worse than other areas, which is weird because it's a small town size wise. It's actually pretty spread out, but like in the northern part of the town, there was like flooding all the way up to like the top of people's tires, and they couldn't even move, or their cars were being slid around. And then down here, we just kind of had our ditches filled up with water, and then it went down, and that was it.
So moving
It's
out
weird. I
to
don't know how that
so
happened.
when you moved out to how long you been in Vegas now? I mean, in Nevada now?
Just over a year. We moved last summer. I think it was the end of June. I was
Okay.
already ready to go before they gave me the call and said, "Hey, you're laid off." And I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I knew I was I was ready for
Yeah.
that. So we were
Now
already ready to
for
move.
your business for joypadlad.coms like that, is that something you were already doing or did you start that?
Yeah. So we refinanced our house. That I still own my old house in California. We refinanced it a couple years ago to get a new roof and all that. And I took some money out of it because I was like, I want to invest it in something. And a friend from work, my old job, that I lost, he's like, well, why don't you do video games? You know, sell video games because you know a lot about it. I'm like, I don't really know a lot about video games. I know a good amount, but I always underestimate, what I do know or don't know or what
Sure.
I'm able to do. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just do it. I don't know if it's gonna work because I'm one of these guys that I've done like so many different things. I made games. I used to have a YouTube channel. I did podcasts. I did all kinds of different stuff. I sold shirts or tried to, did some kind of design work.
New shirt for
And I
WTC came out today.
Yeah, no, cool. I saw it. It looks great. Well. Today is today of recording, so
Today of
maybe I'll
recording,
be sold
yes.
out. Maybe series two is coming out by the time this
Shh.
show goes up. Don't tell them the trade secrets.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, he's like, yeah, why don't you sell video games and stuff? So I believe it was like $180 of stuff. And this was back when you can get video games or anything really for a decent price because people were just getting rid of stuff, just
Yeah,
anything collectible, really. I mean, some stuff was expensive, but like not everything was expensive, like everything got, with collectibles where,
sure.
even now with cards, it's ridiculous. You just want to buy a box and you don't even know what's in it. And it's hundreds of dollars or sometimes thousands of dollars. I've seen some of these like first off the line card boxes and stuff. It's crazy.
Yep.
So I bought like a good amount of stuff. It was a couple systems and a couple decent games for 180 bucks.
Nice.
And I flipped that. I started off with like eBay and Mercari offer up and Facebook Marketplace as well. And then eventually I got my own website shop through Shopify, which one of my old jobs I used to work with where my boss sold through Shopify and she had her own small business. She was a photographer and sold like backdrops and stuff too. So I was
Hmm.
familiar with it. So I just started it and did it, part time. And then once everything happened, I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to keep trying to do this. I don't really usually like pay myself. I don't have like a salary where, okay, I'm going to pay myself this amount because I don't make that much with it.
Hmm.
I've mostly been trying to like, just keep the ball rolling or invest in new
Sure.
stuff. Like I bought like a really expensive printer and I started printing out stickers and stuff like that. And I could even print out cards, or I don't know how they're going to come out. I haven't tried it yet, but I bought card stock for it where I can
Okay.
print like pretty decent thickness cards, and the quality of the print's actually pretty good. I don't know if I have anything here to show you of it, but you can see the stickers. I've shared them before.
Sure.
I've given them away and stuff like that. I actually made a wrestling related one. I made the NWO logo like stretched out long, and it looks like the NWO font, but it says "look at the adjective," and then I have adjective like um, where I couldn't
You
fit
had
it
that
in
on your
one.
website, actually.
Yeah,
I was gonna mention that because you only have three items related to wrestling on your entire website.
well, yeah, I've
You have
had
you have a PlayStation game. You
yeah.
have that sticker, and then you have I think it's the Fiend plush toy.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I had a bunch of those. Those didn't really sell. I don't know why. So I started giving some of those away, and yeah, I made the stickers. Sold a couple of those. I've had wrestling games. I've had more than I have now, but they sell pretty quick. Most of them are pretty popular, like the SmackDown series and No Mercy and all that. I've had here and there, but they go pretty fast. Other than that, like I've had some wrestling figures. Some of them used. I've sold on there before, but I haven't bought like a lot of wholesale wrestling stuff, which there isn't really much that I know of that I could get. Like I've tried to get an account with Funko and they don't even respond to me. So I mean, I could get wrestling pops that way, but I never got that set up. There's a fig pin. I sell those, but I don't think they've made wrestling fig pins in forever, like since they started. So I don't really have a lot of outlets other than the Bleacher Creatures, the one of the Fiend.
Hmm.
But I bought to start off. I bought the Fiend because I knew he was popular. I bought Kobe Bryant because I knew he was popular for. I mean, he was prior to his death, and then of course after his death. So I figured I'd buy those two to start off with. But I have different. I mean, because you've sold stuff before. You used to have a shop too, right?
Not a
So
physical location, no.
no, not a physical. Okay,
Nope.
but
Always been online.
if you've bought anything wholesale, which I assume you
Yep.
have, certain people will be like, okay, well, you can't sell this anywhere but your site. Some will say, okay, yeah, you're able to sell it on eBay or whatever, but
Sure.
here's the rules and here's what you're allowed to put on there and whatnot. Because a lot of them, especially nowadays, they
Well, they're
sell a
always,
lot of
they
their
try to
stuff.
they try to control distribution on what's being sold where.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of times too, like Amazon, for example, like I'll buy things from Super Impulse, which they do the little micro figures.
Hmm.
They'll sell their own stuff on Amazon, so that's why they don't want you on there. Well, I don't know if I don't know if Amazon is approved or not because they let me sell elsewhere, but other places will be like like they'll sell on like BioWorld. They make um, blankets and T-shirts and all that stuff that I have, like video game related, pop culture related.
Hmm.
If you look, I have a Blockbuster blanket on there, which one of the guys on your show recently had it, and behind him, I have the same
Okay.
blanket for sale. They limit like, okay, certain things you can sell elsewhere, certain things you could only sell on your website. So I don't really have a lot of options to stock wrestling stuff. Wrestling card wise, like I don't have ones that I really want to sell that much. You know, like mostly what I bought is raw deal, and I have some other cards here. Like I just recently did a trade with a guy. I gave him a good deal on a game, and I said, "Hey, just pay me this amount for it because this is what I paid for it." And then he's like, "Well, I got these games. I can trade you." And I said, "Okay, let's do that. We'll work out a deal." And then he threw in these cards for free, which is a bunch of like old classic WWF
Nice.
cards.
Some
So it's actually
tops, some
pretty cool.
classic. Yeah.
And I think he even has some Ninja Turtle stuff in there too. So that's cool.
That's
I thought.
nice.
So
So your
that's
website, your business is kind of uh, what do you call it? A cornucopia of like all kinds of
somewhat.
different collectibles.
I try to limit it because like I did try to sell. It hasn't sold yet, but I have a Kevin Nash card because I bought when the sets first came out, the Fleer sets, the
Yep.
SmackDown versus Raw. I only bought one box, which was cool because the card I got in it was Kevin Nash with the relic. So
Yeah,
I
they're
was like,
like it's a
okay,
little. It's like a die cut, right? It's a little die cut in
yeah,
the
it's
end.
like a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
on the
Yep.
corner of it, and then it's got the T-shirt relic, which they say he wore, but who knows with cards these days.
Yeah.
So so I had that for a while, and then I decided I was like, okay, let me see if I could sell it because um, I don't know. I didn't really care to keep it or not because it's just hard to, like, I don't know. I like to put stuff in sleeves and stuff, like in books.
Sure.
And I had it on display, but I was like, I don't know. See if I can get rid of it. I kind of go back and forth on collecting stuff if I want to keep it or not. So, like I said, I had all my raw deal stuff. I sold it all off before. Then I wanted again, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have that attitude when I started my eBay store, which is the same store I have now since 2001.
Yeah.
Because like I was 16 years old using my mom's name on there, and I sold all my Pokemon cards back then, which I probably could have made tens of thousands of
Yeah.
dollars on
Could
them
have
now
bought
these
another house
days.
by now.
Yeah, exactly. So
Let's go into wrestling cards actually now since we showed some wrestling cards.
well, I did
Uh,
buy some recently here. I want to show you. I started collecting these, at least like certain ones. I got the Mr. America ones, which I
okay.
bought these for myself. And I mean, I'm not like a big Hogan guy, but I I like the Mr. America character because it's just dumb. It's just
Hey,
funny.
you know what? The only other time I've ever seen a Mr. America, by the way, on a card of some kind, was in Raw Deal.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if there's really an
He
Mr.
doesn't.
America
It's not.
card.
It's not a
So
card specific to that character, but there's a picture of him on a card. I think it's called. I want to say called "Pass the Buck." Is an action card, and it shows him with McMahon on it, and he's in the gimmick of Mr. America.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never known that that card existed. That's why I was like, is there even a Mr. America card? I have to get it. Just to at least keep one or a few for myself.
sure.
But I ended up buying two of the boxes. If you can see here, two full 20 packs of them, which I think is like I own 3% of them because they only printed like 1,400 cards or something. Because I
Yeah.
figured, down the road when everyone collects everything, everyone's going to be like, well, what else is there of Hogan? Oh, they made this Mr.
And I'd be probably
America
the only one
card.
that ever did of him.
Yeah, probably because it's
Yeah, that's
with
it.
him and WWE, they go back and forth on whether they hate each other or like each
Yeah.
other, and then Mr. America, no one really talks about that because no one really liked the gimmick. I don't think Hogan liked it, and
Why would he? Why would Hogan care? It wasn't him anyway, so it doesn't
well,
matter.
yeah, no, yeah. So, oh no, remember Vince McMahon released that footage that showed, but then that could have just been like, that time he was Mr. America, but it wasn't really him. All the other times,
That's true. So,
like
uh,
like what is it, Blue Blazer?
exactly like Blue
Yeah,
Blazer.
we
So,
don't
yeah.
know who it was, even though we
So
saw.
with is Raw Deal the first like wrestling card you ever collect? Like when would you first collect a wrestling card?
Yeah, I think that's probably the case because growing up, I didn't collect a ton of cards. I did early on. I got like football and basketball mainly because I was like super into that, when Jordan's era. and Deion Sanders was like my favorite player. I still have some of his cards over on this thing too. So I collected mainly like his cards, and I collected, bowls mainly, but like
Wow.
almost anything
A
because like,
SoCal boy who's not a Lakers or Clippers fan.
well, here's the thing though. I didn't tell this part of the story. So I was born in Redlands, but after the age of 5 or 6, I moved around a ton. My dad's from Michigan, my mom's side is from Illinois, and then where we ended up living when my parents got divorced was in Wisconsin. So like I kind of consider myself more of like a Midwestern guy because of
Okay,
those weird connections. One side of the family from one state, one side from the other, and I lived half my childhood in the state between them. So I lived in Wisconsin off and on because we moved a ton back and forth, and I lost like a ton of my stuff. So if I had anything, cards, toys, anything, really didn't last long because they didn't carry that stuff with us from state to state because we drove every time and it was a whole ordeal. I remember one time, literally, we got a couple toys. I think it was a Wolverine and a Spider-Man from our grandparents, and that was literally at that point in time the only two toys that we had. So I actually was into cards a lot because they were cheap, easy to get, and I didn't really collect them as much as like I made games out of them. So that's why I'm a little bit different than some people. Like because I didn't have games, I didn't have toys, so I got football cards and I would lay them out on the floor and I'd put a penny on the quarterback and like throw it to a receiver and kind of put them in formation and stuff.
sure.
And basketball, I'd do similar things as well. So wrestling cards, I don't even know if I knew they existed back then. Um,
So, but Raw Deal pretty much is what
but
got you to
raw
know
deal
that a Raw
later
Deal card,
on, yeah,
wrestling
raw
cards.
deal later, I just walked into the comic book shop, which I was playing Magic the Gathering at the time off and on. I was never like hardcore anything really. I played the Pokemon card game a little bit. It's not really that advanced. It's not really that fun for some people.
Mhm.
And then I saw, wait, there's a WWF card game. So I saw the box behind the counter, and it had I think I don't even know if anyone bought anything yet. I think it might have been fresh. There might have been everyone still in there. I was with my brother and his friend, and so I went and grabbed my favorite guy, Chris Jericho, Y2J. So that was cool. I was like, okay, cool, that he's actually in there. And that was, what, a couple months after, or maybe a year after he debuted. So it was cool to see him in there. And then my brother got Triple H because that was his guy, and then my brother's friend got Undertaker because that was his guy. And then we just kind of figured out the game and we played a couple of games. And then like everything with these card games, like I don't know, I don't like really playing people I don't know because like it sucks when you play someone you don't know and they beat you because like when it's your brother you can punch him in the arm or something. You're like, but like I've done a couple tournaments. I'm like, man, this I don't have money to buy all these cards. These guys are killing me.
Yeah, but then
So,
you go to these tournaments, and I used to host them and run some of those tournaments back in the day. And I've literally seen people would just get so frustrated they would flip that table up and just like
really,
I've seen that. Yes,
that's crazy.
it was just crazy. It's like guys just kind of like they just fold, man. They're done. They're just done, man. They call it scooping. Like I scoop, and that was it. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
so I got that, and the thing is with card games, it always sucks for me because I want to play with my friends and family, and I always end up like killing all of them, and a lot of times I have to like make their decks for them,
yeah.
and then I just win every time, and it's boring. So I just kind of got out of it after a
Well, that's why
while.
you got to play other people besides your family members, man. Come on. Uh, Local market. You're in Nevada. What's your local market like out there? As far as like, you have card shops? Do you have card shows? What's going on out there?
Um, so like I said, I'm like in the middle of nowhere because it's an hour to Vegas, and then like
Because in
that.
Vegas, and years ago in Vegas, there was a very famous card shop out there called Smokies.
Hmm.
And I used to, when I go to Vegas, because it was only a 4 hour drive for me, I go to Vegas, I would always stop at Smokies, and they would have just stacks and stacks of, you name it, man, sports, non-sports. They had stacks of all kinds of boxes, man. It was like heaven. And then they got busted. They were part of this big old giant FBI
Oh wow.
ring where guys were doing bootlegs and bogus autographs, and
Oh wow.
uh, somewhere in San Diego, and then Smokies, I think, went out of business because I think they did. I'm not sure, but uh, I don't know what else is out there in that area.
Like in terms of Vegas, I don't really know. I've only, believe it or not, I'm almost 40 years old, 37 and a half. or so, and
Come on, we
I've
don't.
only
We're
been
37. We don't use halves.
37 in a couple months. Um, and So I've only been to Vegas like once or twice ever in my entire life. I was just never a big Vegas guy or a like big gambling guy because like I don't know about anyone else, but I hate losing, so I lose every time I gamble. So it
Oh, I
never
don't. I
really
don't go to
appealed to me.
Vegas to gamble.
I
I don't
I
hardly
know there's
ever
a
gamble.
I know
I
there's
go there
other
because
stuff to do too.
I love the energy of places like like Vegas. When I said I was going to leave California, I really thought
Mhm.
I was going to move to either New York, Vegas. If it wasn't for the people in Miami, I probably would have moved to Miami. Someplace that was had a nightlife that I could go and just
Yeah.
do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, kind of thing. You know, and but I just never did. And here I am in Phoenix. So who knew? But
Yeah,
uh,
I'm a little bit different because when I grew up, mostly in Redlands around that area, that was like super small town,
mhm,
and it's gotten bigger now. And then we moved to Wisconsin, and I lived in Marshfield, which is super small town. And now I live in Pahrump, and it's what I'm used to. Like
super
I'm
small
not used
town.
to, yeah, I'm not used to like a big, I'm not a big city guy
Well, that's what you
really.
like. It's what you grew up, what you
So
like, so that kind of thing. You know, I'm an Orange County boy mostly, but you know, being an hour, 45-minute drive to Los Angeles, so I just Los Angeles is different. It's busy, but you know, when I was a teenager, I would frequent a lot down the strip areas like that, and go down to, you know, in Hollywood. I go to like to a lot of concerts and stuff like that at the, you know, Jezebels, or I go to Whiskey Go Go, Troubadour, all that place like that. I used to go there all the time. Um, but so it's
yeah,
really, you don't know have any card scenes or anything like
Um,
that?
in Pahrump, like I said, it's mostly older people, like a retirement area. Basically, there is a comic shop. I've never been to it. Like I don't get to get out a lot because you know I have my business. I have the kids I take care of during the day. My wife works at night and sleeps during most of the day. So if I have to go anywhere, it's usually when things are closed or her days off. And a
Sure.
lot of times we're catching up on stuff. So we're really busy because my kids are, 5 and 3, and I have the business and everything going on. It's not easy to get out and do much. I go out and check out a store, once every couple weeks or so. So that's what makes it tough to find stuff for even the business. I have to buy lots of stuff online and kind of break them down and sell them individually. It was a little bit better where I used to live, but yeah, I don't know like it's tough for me too because I was selling on Facebook, so I would see local posts and be able to kind of give you a picture from there. But I stopped selling on Facebook because they not only wanted Social Security, but they wanted like a copy front and back of it, and I'm like, what? There's no way. Like half the time they block my listings anyways and say like, oh yeah, you can't sell dogs. I'm like, it's a video game with a picture of a dog on it. It's not a dog, and they say denied. You can't sell it. So I had so many issues with them selling stuff on there. I was like, I'm not going to do this. And then offer up, it's tough because that's local as well. And I have so many items and I sell so much stuff. So what I did was I had an app on my computer. It's called BlueStacks, where it emulates a phone. So you can use phone apps on there because OfferUp doesn't let you sell, through a website. You have to use your phone app.
Sure.
So I would use that and I would post stuff through that, and it was quick and easy. But they got so much spam on OfferUp that they started blocking my listings because they thought it was spam. And I told them multiple times, I'm like, hey, all my listings are gone or didn't show up for this day or that day. And they're like, oh, we fixed it, they're back up. And I'm like, yeah, but they keep getting flagged, like that's the problem. And they're like, oh yeah, we fixed it, here they're back up. I'm like, you're not listening to me. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, what, I'm done with OfferUp then. So I don't have any connection really in terms of what's people are selling locally. There's a couple little like yeah, I guess you could call them like swap meet things, but they're really small, you know, um once a week. And I've never seen any card stuff there.
You
I
would
saw
think
some
that
like
being in
old.
a community of peoples like that, I don't know how old that town is, but you would think being in a community that's predominantly, as you're saying, older people, you could potentially, if someone has a yard sale or a garage sale,
Mhm.
you could potentially find some gold. You never know.
Yeah, there's some stuff like I've looked in even the local thrift shops and I found some gaming items like well, this was actually at one of like the swap meet things, but I found it was an Atari XE system. I think I got the whole bundle for 15 bucks
Nice.
and I sold it for like 150 or something like that or more, or maybe 200 bucks, close to that. So, but it's just like I don't know. It's tough for me with how I am right now to get out and do too much because even the post office, when I go to the post office, I have to make sure the kids are occupied, let my
Sure.
wife know, hey, because because she's still
Are you are
sleepy.
you are you actually physically going to a post office to ship things?
Yeah, I
Why?
have well, what else can I do? I can have them come pick up, right?
Schedule pickup, print your own label, schedule
I've
pickup. I haven't been
I've
to, I don't go to a post office. I've probably been to a post office more since I moved to Phoenix than the last 8 years I was in Southern California because I never go to the post office.
yeah, I've tried, but from what I saw, I think they were only going to let me do like one day, or I don't know exactly what it was. The reason I didn't do it, but like I didn't want to have too many.
USPS.com. And just schedule your date. There's unlimited packages. You got to have a mail carrier coming to your house anyways.
Yeah, so what is it like? You can't have them. You well, was it like once a week or something? You can
No,
have them
I
come
I'd
by
schedule any day I wanted.
every day. Okay, yeah, I
Every
got to
day.
check it out because last time I checked it out, I was like, okay, wait, this isn't going to work out. But I must have been looking at something wrong.
I got a package going out tomorrow. It's like that. I'm not going to the post office for that.
But yeah, I usually have a good stack, and I like because there's a bin I can just toss it in. So I like to go and get it in there and out because a lot of times, even if they pick it up, they might not scan it till the next day. So I'll look at that and see what my options are because I was trying to figure that out
Time
recently.
is money, sir. Time is money. if
So
I got to spend time driving to the post office,
hey, but then if I don't do that, then I'm never gonna leave the house. That's like
there is
sometimes that's all
that.
I get.
There is that. That's very true. So I got.
So
For you collecting wise, I mean, do you collect any wrestling cards now? Like, do you have a specific wrestlers that you collect at all, or
right now, my collection has basically been like, I wanted to get as much raw deal stuff as I could to make all the different decks that I wanted to have.
oh boy, then
I've
you must be a customer of Elo cards.
I did buy some stuff recently. It's funny. My brother actually he didn't tell me, but he bought me some packs for my birthday a couple of months ago. And he's like, "Yeah, I was looking, I couldn't find them," and I showed him your site, and he's like, "Yeah, I looked there, but they didn't have packs." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, you can't really find them anywhere." He's like, "So I got these on eBay," and I'm like, "Yeah, they probably like weighed them to see if there's any like foils or not in them."
sure.
Because there was like no hits in any of them. So, but it was still cool. There was a couple cards in there I didn't have.
Depends on
Um,
what you release you got. I mean, you buy the later stuff. I mean, every pack had at least something, like a superstar specific that, especially those last five releases, non-revolution stuff.
mhm.
Everything from like probably like Royal Rumble SS3, of course. It's like that's like finding gold now. But Royal Rumble, Unforgiven, Great American Bash, No Mercy. Those were all like, I mean, No Way Out. I'm sorry. Those were all like gold. You got like great stuff and all that stuff, no matter what. Every pack had something really nice in it.
Yeah, so I've talked to beyond just the raw deal stuff, and then I bought some WCW recently. I talked to Zan. I was like, if I'm going to start collecting stuff, what do you think I should go for, or this that? Here's my favorite guys, and he showed me some cards and stuff. And I'm just not like I kind of like gun shy or whatever. Like I don't want to pull
Sure.
the trigger on something expensive right now. So I was like, what kind of gimmick can I do? And I was like, you know what? What's cool is wrestling cards with guys wearing or holding a belt. I was like, what if I just like start collecting cards with people with belts because I think that's awesome because I like the championships. So I started saving a bunch of cards. And the first, I don't know why, like he's probably my third favorite wrestler of all time. He's up there. I just thought of Mr. Perfect with the IC belt. Like I just thought
Nice.
that would look awesome on a card. And I looked and I saw some awesome cards and saved some of them. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it because like to me, I'm still in the mindset of like, and I'll explain some more in a second here. Like I always wanted, and it's always been for me cards to have like a purpose. Like I bought cards and played games with them. I made my own card game. I still have from when I was like 14 years old. We had basically nothing. I don't even think when we moved at the time in 97, 98 that I had we didn't have cable for a little bit. So I can even watch wrestling. I was watching like a taped show, which I remember was the one that I believe it was Stone Cold faced Gold Dust. And then Gerald Briscoe was like the outside enforcer and Stone Cold or Vince McMahon or someone hit him with the belt and then he was just gushing blood. Briscoe was. I don't know if you remember that
Back in
episode.
the days when you can actually bleed.
Yeah. So I had that on tape and we watched just that over and over again. I think
No
I
wonder why
have
your parents wouldn't let you watch that stuff.
yeah, so we never really got to watch it when I was younger. Later on when my mom cuz I have a half sister so her dad was the guy that my mom was with after my parents divorced. So once they split up and then my stepdad that I have now once they got together it was a little bit different. That's when we started watching wrestling a lot more right at the start of the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars and
Mhm.
NWO and all that stuff. And so I had I still didn't have like a lot of my own stuff to do. Our big thing was the wrestling figures. We had our own federations and stuff we would do. But I liked games and card games, and I always would make up my own games and stuff. And so I had, here's a card. Let's see if I can get it good with the lighting here. So that's a card of Razor Ramon
Oh, nice.
that I made in '98 or something. So that was, he was already Scott Hall at that point, but I went back and I made cards of their older gimmicks just because what I did is I didn't have a computer. I had wrestling magazines. I would cut out pictures, and I had an old magic card that I cut out all the shape of the cards, and I traced it, and then I would tape the pictures to the pages, go to the local gas station, copy the cards and cut them out, and I legit made packs, and I made like a starter box, and I would sell them to my brother. So technically,
And
I'm
sell them to
just
your brother.
technically I'm just as legit as Monty Gum cards, basically. So these should be worth like thousands of dollars. I have
Why Monty
a
Gum's not even
DDP
worth
here.
thousands of dollars.
Okay, well these are better, so they should be worth more. You could play a game with them. So
Okay.
and the names are correct. Actually, some of them aren't though. So I made like 9 sets of that game, and it was pretty much simple. I'll show you. Here's a Rocky Maivia card right here. It's just on paper. So there's 6 moves with the finisher on the bottom.
Sure.
Their health right there. So you would just flip a coin, see whose turn it was, roll the dice, and that's the move they did, and you just subtract their HP. And it's pretty basic. If they didn't have a certain level of HP, if you rolled the finisher, you would go for a pin instead, and add a pin dice, and it was pretty much basic. But that's why I actually have a pack I made later. Here's a pack with Owen Hart. This is when I had a computer. I made this. It's just folded on the back.
Nice.
We can do a live opening of this package right here. So these ones are printed on the computer on a little bit thicker card stock, and I made them look like the older cards, and I just did it of like older guys that were deceased. Let me
Uh-huh.
see if I can get the light better.
Some
Eddie
Eddie there.
Guerrero.
Yep.
I got a Kurt Hennig in there,
Nice. Crash Holly next. Yep.
and
See it.
Crash Holly. Yep. Hawk.
Wow.
There's
This
Big
is
Boss Man. British Bulldog. It's kind of
this
like
is
a tribute set. Owen Hart.
this is called
Andre the Giant.
might as well call it the RIP condition. The RIP edition.
There you go. So
R.I.P.
you didn't expect you're gonna rip a pack on this. There you
No,
go.
I didn't.
So then later on, I made like I made a game, which I'll show you some pictures of really quick, because my story is going to be a little bit different than some people. Some people are going to be like, oh yeah, well, I want to know if he has the same Andre the Giant or Hulk Hogan card that I have that's worth thousands of dollars. But I'm like, here's a story that you haven't heard or seen. This is a totally different thing. So this is going to be more interesting to people that, maybe are more nostalgic when they first started collecting cards and stuff and everything was new to them. I'm sure other people have made their own cards too. So this is kind of like for those people, a little bit of a different take on it.
Uh-huh.
Because, yeah, I have wrestling cards, but they're mostly cards I made. And so I have like during the TNA days when everyone's cult favorite there, Monty
Yeah, yeah.
Brown, when I was super into TNA, I made like a whole set of like all the guys around then.
Okay, yeah.
And I never really played it. It was a little bit upgraded from the game, but I never really played it myself. I just kind of made them. And then here's your guy right here. I made a older set with gold borders. And there's your guy right there, Kevin Nash. I wrote some numbers on it recently because I was actually reworking the game to try to come up with some different ideas, because I thought it'd be cool to do for fun. And so basically, before I did everything I'm doing now, I had a YouTube channel. Before that, I made games. I was actually made simulation games. People that are watching this, Zan is going to know this, because he's played EWR and TEW, I believe, at least one of those. So I made it's a wrestling booker sim. So you can like pick your wrestlers for your company or take over a company.
Hmm.
Control WWF, and okay, I'm going to book this guy against this guy, and then here's what happens, and here's the crowd reaction, here's my sponsors, how much money I made, and all that. It's just like anything else, it's pretty straightforward. It's a booker sim. So I had for a while the card game I made up, which is kind of like there's plenty of other card games out there that are similar, wrestling ones. You could find them in the magazines back in the day, and I never bought those or played them, but I'm like I said, I made my own. I have a notebook here. This is like from high school. This is probably like 20 years old, and I have like a bunch of ideas in here going back to then of all different stuff, but like even ideas for a board game that I never made. But I did make a simulation game, which I'll show you a picture of here if I can do it really quick.
Sure, go for it.
Um, so here's a screenshot of it. Let's see. You seeing it on there?
It's coming up. There it is.
Okay. So this is a screenshot of the last version I did, which was probably 6, 7 years ago. And so it's basically the same thing. You would just kind of let the match go by itself,
Hmm.
or you would press the button to go to the next step, and it would all randomly determine, okay, it's this guy's turn. This the movie does, and then it
They
says it
used to
all
use
below.
something similar like this in the late 90s, early 2000s, I think it was, where they would, you could do these. I was part of the E federations, and you
Oh
can
yeah, yeah,
actually you can give your attributes to your wrestlers like that by talking like what's your three key moves you have to have in a match. Here is finisher move number one and finisher move number two. You put all your attributes and stuff like that, and the guy who would run it would then run the simulator, and the simulator would pop out a winner.
yeah. No, there was because I used to do that back in the day too. I had my own e-feds that I would run. We didn't have like a simulator, but like for some people, they had these programs where you would simulate how the match happened at least, so you didn't
Yes,
have to write it all
it was all
yourself.
text based. It's all it was,
Yeah,
just text.
so I've used those before. I've even worked on some, but never fully finished them. So I have a ton of pictures in here to see if I could just kind of show you them really quick. So this is the game, and there's later on when I was working on the board game.
Hmm.
These are cards from that board game. So those were more like you controlled the wrestlers more than it just being random. So those are the different moves that you can do and what effects they have and how much it costs for their special. And then you
Hmm.
had a move sheet on the side. Let me go back to um, so just so you get a picture of this is what the game looked like. I wanted to throw this out there because I never get the credit I deserve for for this one. I keep bringing it up, but Eric Bischoff, for some reason or another, has a picture from my game that I used for him on Twitter. If you check it now, it's been probably since I made the game, almost probably like at least 3, 4 years that he's had that picture and he's never changed it. It has the logo in the background. You can see it right there as I skip over with authority. But the same logo that's in the background of these pictures. And he just randomly found it on Google and used it. And I'm like, dude, can I get a shout out or something at least? Because like,
Has he ever given you a shout out?
no, he's never. I've tagged him like 5 times, and he's never said anything. Um, so that's weird. I just thought that was funny because like I've always been like where I've had these weird connections with people. Like for example, most people don't know that I've done a couple videos on Vince Russo's YouTube channel before. Like I've had interactions with him and was doing some stuff with him for a little bit till I got bored of it and moved on. But like I've always had like these connections to people, especially in wrestling, and like but it never works out to anything. So it's weird. But
That's
so
wrestling
that
for you.
yeah, um so there's the game, and then there's the cards later on. Here's another game I was making, which I still think is a pretty cool game. It looks intimidating and confusing from here. This is just the editor, but like the storylines like in the wrestling games where it's like, okay, you fight this guy
Sure.
and then oh, do you want to do this or that? Um, this is basically a storyline creator. Like you could go through here and it's almost like as if like the efeds you talked about. It's almost as if like you simulate an efed because you would go through and it would show you a screen of like, okay, this is your wrestler and this is what happened this day, and what do you want to do? Do you want to attack hit this guy, or do you want to just back off? And then it would go to a different area of the storyline, and you could create your own storylines. It's basically like a choose your own adventure book with like a bunch of bells and whistles and more geared towards wrestling. So like it would even play a sound if you wanted to, and show a picture. So my goal was kind of to try to make a game out of it, and then maybe later make it to where when you have a match, you actually play the match as some sort of simulation game too, instead of just like picking choices.
Hmm.
So I did a lot of stuff like this that most people don't know. But for some reason, the other game, Pro Wrestling Nexus, was the simulation game I showed you first, which spurned from the card game, which is wrestling card related. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of getting off in the weeds, but still, it began with wrestling cards. That
Oh,
game got like super popular in Brazil for some reason. If you search YouTube Pro Wrestling Nexus, you might have to search game or 1.4. You'll still find videos of people that play, people I don't even know. I never knew them. They just played the game. They recorded it. It's on YouTube. It's pretty cool. Last time I saw, there was a couple websites that had my old game up there, and it was like 20,000 downloads or something crazy. But like I never run into people that played it anymore because it's mostly like people in other countries. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's weird.
Well, it's pretty popular down in South America. A lot of wrestling stuff. Raw Deal, like one of my
Yeah.
biggest selling ones, was in Chile. I'd
And
say.
then this last picture I wanted to show you is just I was working on a new card recently, and it's not it's not really all the way done. It's kind of like a template. I was
Hmm.
like, if I remake the card game, um, I started with this Hogan card and came up with some ideas, which I don't know if I'm gonna ever get to it because I'm the king of starting stuff and then never finishing it. So we'll see how it goes. But so that's where that all went from. Making these cards, making 8 different sets as a kid, and I have some that I was gonna see if I have one that has the wrong name. Like I had people I had to just guess because, like I said, we didn't even get to watch TV half the time at that short period when I first started. Like I have a Christian Cage card. I didn't even know it was Christian until years later. I just put like
But it was
power bomb
great.
for his
Hey,
finishing
it was
move.
Christian Cage in TNA.
Yeah, but like this is old Christian Cage before he was even in WWF. He was in a magazine. I'm like, okay, cool. I got another card I can make. His name's Christian Cage. What's his move? I don't know. I'll just give him a power bomb. So
Okay.
that's as a kid. They used to laugh at me at the convenience store because I'd go in there with these big stacks of paper and photocopy them all, and then I'd go home and cut them out and sell them
So,
to my brother. So at least I was a professional. I
so other
sold
than
cards.
your card game creating, you have a ton of them. It looks like different types of creations you got going on, but you're getting into collecting actual physical cards now. But you haven't really pulled the trigger yet. You're like trying to.
Yeah, I like I said, I showed you. I got the Mr. America cards because I'm
Yeah.
trying to find stuff that's unique because I don't like to go along with what everyone's doing. It's just not my thing. You know, I don't follow the trends. I kind of find the stuff that people aren't paying attention to. So I got a bunch of those Mr. America cards, which are like mainly for investment, and I want to keep some of them at least because I think it's funny and cool. And then I bought they had the Razor Ramon and Bobby Heenan cards recently.
Yep.
I bought, but who knows when I'm ever going to get those because the Mr. America ones, that was the first ones I got, and they came pretty quick.
Yeah,
And then,
something's happened with tops recently. We've been
yeah, I
talking
don't
about that
know.
on social media, where a lot of errors, which is that's a very tops thing to do, and renumbering things and changing people out, and people are waiting on orders, and it's just a lot of stuff going on with all the recent news going on when this was recorded. Now, in the past couple of days, I mean, who knows when this stuff's going to be getting in people's hands now? It's just like it's crazy. They keep pushing product back, and it's insane,
Yeah, there's a
insane.
lot of stuff that's been basically on all fronts. Like wrestling cards is probably the worst off because WWE itself is like in flux with all the changes they're making, and people are saying,
which
"Are they going
which
to
affects
sell?"
which affects the
Yeah,
card business because now they don't want you putting out product anymore. Like, hey, pull that back, replace card number. I mean, they used to do that back when Topps first got the license. They were did their Heritage and they did their Heritage Chrome. They swapped out some people that were not in Heritage, but the Chrome version of it has a couple different cards in it that were not in the original version.
yeah, because I believe you guys have like was it Finest and Chrome or like the main WWE tops
I mean, well,
releases? Is
Finest
that
is
what it's?
brand new to them. Finest is brand new
Okay.
for WWE. 2020 is their first year they ever put out Finest.
Okay, but I believe like you have cards ordered that you're just waiting to get. Is that correct?
No, I got my I have me putting in an order. I haven't put any orders in from Tops. I got my redemptions back finally.
Okay.
Maybe 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half ago. I got them back.
Because there's a lot of people that are following the tops releases, and I keep seeing that they keep getting delayed. I think NXT was just about to come out or came out
It's
at the
out.
time of recording this.
Yeah.
Okay, so like that's I'm kind of caught in the middle too because I just kind of was like, oh whoa,
But there's a lot of product out there. If you're gonna be off the beaten path, as you say, it's like that, and be
yeah,
different, unique. There's a lot of things that are already out there you can go after already. There's so much product out there you can go after. If your thing is like you said earlier was to collect people and champions holding the belt, which
hmm
is something that I used to do back when I got 8x10 signed by talent. I only
yeah.
wanted stuff that was where they're holding a belt.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Um, there's a lot of product out there. You can go all the way back. You can go back to the 80s and stuff like that, even older, and find some great stuff, probably pretty inexpensive that fit your bill of just
yeah,
finding talent holding a belt.
yeah. It just
I mean,
yeah.
why wait for new stuff? Why invest in new product when you can go out and get old product probably for a lot less than what you can buy a new product for?
I think it's probably like the case with these cards when I'm buying like the living set cards. is I overbuy because then I can keep some for myself
Sure.
and then try to sell the rest. So a lot of the newer stuff, maybe I can buy a box and find some stuff I want to keep and sell the
But the,
rest, and
but the
may
flip
or
is
may not.
hard. The flip
I
is
know
hard
it
on new
is. That's what I'm
stuff.
saying. It's getting tough. That's why that's why I'm saying I'm kind of like in the middle here, where I'm trying to figure out
You want to
what
buy
I
a
want to
box of
do.
Undisputed, when it comes out, which is used to be one of their flagship products.
Yeah,
That was their high end before Transcendent came out. You go from $100 box to a $13,000 box. It's a big difference. But
yeah, it's crazy.
Undisputed. I mean, I made that comment when I opened up my first box of Undisputed. The first box of product I opened up probably in 15 years,
Yeah.
and I was like, how am I supposed to make any money back? I paid 150 bucks for this box, and there's nothing in this box that's going to get me my money back.
Yeah, no, I did buy some baseball recently, and I didn't spend that much money, but I was like, yeah, this isn't what I thought it would be, and then it's not like I don't know, I'm not like hardcore in on it, and like I like some of these people that go and they sit, and most of the money is made, you know, sitting out. At least back in the day, they kind of changed it recently, and waiting for the restock and then boxes because everyone wants to rip stuff. I'm the
Yep.
same way too. That's why it's kind of tough. Like even if I'm just buying it for myself, I just like opening packs. That's why I bought old raw deal stuff. So I've been looking at and saving some old stuff. I've mostly bought recently some older football stuff, but like I'm probably going to be more like an old wrestling card set, which it's hard to find anything that's like
You can
a
still go out.
great deal
I mean,
now, and
classic is
I
still
just open it
the, the
myself.
the class 1990 classic releases are
Mhm.
still plentiful out there. They're not that expensive.
Yeah,
Um,
that's probably something I would do more, but I do want to do that collection. But like, I don't know. I've never been even in card games. I've never been like a buyer, so I'm kind of trying to like change my philosophy. I guess you
well,
could say
you
I've
collect for
kind of
fun.
always
I
been
mean, gaming is
yeah.
different because I've had a lot of customers from Vela Cards who would buy just to collect. I shouldn't say a lot. I've had several, but most people are buying because they want to play. And you're a gamer. I mean, let's be honest here. You're a gamer through and through here. Whether it be a board game, whether it be a card game, whether it be a video
Mhm.
game, you're a gamer. So for you, it's about. It sounds to me like for you, it's about buying it and being able to play it and do something with it and interact with other people. And so that's a gamer mentality.
Yeah.
Whereas a trading card side, you're especially in wrestling, you're buying, especially older stuff, you're buying for nostalgia reasons. You're buying for because you like Mr. Perfect and you want to go out and remember the matches you saw of him. It's like
Mhm.
that. It brings you back to that time. That's what wrestling has always been about, anyways. So I mean, I get it. I mean, if you want to collect, you came to the right guy with Zans. And he'll put you in the right path, man. He'll put you right on the right path on how to. And it's easy to get into, and it's affordable. You're not gonna spend thousands of dollars buying basketball cards or baseball cards. You can spend for dollars. Like you can buy some good cool stuff and get your collection going. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what's cool about wrestling. It's still like way
it's
underrated.
way
So
undervalued. It's like
yeah,
that. It doesn't get the recognition it deserves. And that's what guys like Zan and myself are trying to put out there in the market and let people know, like, hey, we got some cool shit too here, man. Um,
yeah.
uh, so if you don't have a whole lot of stuff outside of gaming, trading card wise, what would you say in your collection you have now
Mhm.
is your favorite piece?
So I'm trying to think. I got some stuff
I
over
mean, even
here.
if it is a raw deal or WTW, what is your favorite piece that you have?
It's tough for me because like I don't know if I have like a favorite card, an individual card. Like I like all my raw deal stuff, especially the early, the first set or two. I'm proud that I have a lot of that stuff. I'm kind of upset I missed out and couldn't get some of the fully loaded stuff. Like I'm missing a lot of that.
That's the second
So
release, yeah.
that my whole collection of that is probably like my biggest thing that I'm attached to because I've had that um for a few years now, and just recently I started buying some other stuff. Like I bought a couple sets of older football cards, just designs that I remembered, and I'm kind of more of like in this regard, I guess, a set collector guy because I bought some binders and I tried to get the whole set because I'm like, I remember this design. For example, I have one of the cards here, and Deion Sanders, like I said, was my guy. And so this is a Score 1994 football card, and this is the gold chase variant of it. But I
Sure.
just always like the design of it because it's all these random purple and green colors. It looks like the 90s.
And it
And
pops.
so, yeah, so that was one of my things. I was like, okay, that's cool. I want to get that set. Then some other things like that. But like with wrestling, the thing that sucks is there's a lot of like eras that aren't, there wasn't yearly releases on a lot of
No,
stuff, so it's kind of hard to like if
I mean
that
it
was
has
more the
been now for the
case.
last 15 plus
Yeah,
years like that.
and,
But you go back to the 80s. There's only a handful of. I mean,
and that's
Tops was your big company. They only put out basically two releases in the 80s for the most part. I mean,
the problem is like the stuff now, like I haven't been serious into watching wrestling since, CM Punk left. Now he just came back.
mhm,
um and since TNA kind of changed when Hogan and Bischoff came in, I watched it a little bit and then kind of tuned out. I just mostly watched like a lot of the older stuff. So like I have a lot of like DVDs of stuff I downloaded before the network even existed, the VHS like tape
mhm,
trading basically, through the internet back in the old day of
sure.
torrents and stuff. So I
Uh-huh.
have a lot of that stuff still, and I'll watch that or watch the network, which I had until they switched to Peacock. I haven't
Yeah.
switched to them. I don't know if I'm going to or not.
A lot of
But
people like that.
yeah. So yeah, I don't really have the nostalgia in so many ways. I still have all my old wrestling figures. Like I literally have like almost every single guy from back in the day. I could tell you like, okay, I had this guy win this championship from this guy and stuff. So like I have a lot of that. So with cards, like I said, I have my card games I've made. So that's more my thing. Um it's just I don't know, like I'm kind of like I don't collect a lot of stuff. So stuff I have for a reason, like I said, to play with it, card games or stuff that I really like. So it's kind of like a combination of everything. Um, I don't know if I have anything that's like super valuable that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so happy I have this and I want to show that off. I just have stuff that's unique. Like for example, I actually really, one of my favorite things right now is the Mr. America card because I know it's just brand new and right now it's like,
Well,
okay,
that's what I was going to ask you. There's
big deal.
your favorite ones like that, and on top of that, is there anything since you're kind of getting into it right now? Is there
Hmm.
anything you want like is your goal like your main card you want to go and go after?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it would be awesome because I see the WCW signature sets. I'm not going to go after all those, but like it'd be cool to get a Scott Hall because he's my favorite guy, or a Jericho or something. But like, I'm not.
Tell you,
I'm
man,
not a.
make the trip to SoCal in 2 weeks. I will hook
Uh,
you up.
okay, I might have to now. I was questioning it, and my brother brought it up, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go to this?" I'm like, "Oh, what? They're gonna have Scott Hall and Kevin Nash? What the hell?
Yeah,
Like I gotta go." And so I was even thinking of bringing my cousin too, but I just wasn't sure, with everything going on, what the conditions were gonna be at that point in time. And now it's a little bit closer to it, and I didn't know you were involved either. So now,
yeah.
like, I know the guy that's involved. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to now. I was planning to do like a trip when I went and bought a bunch of comics recently because I went to Redlands, the same city it's in,
Yep.
and I got all the comics and figures and stuff like that from my uncle. I was planning to like, oh well, why don't I go there for a long weekend and go do that too?
Well, we
But
may
I
have to
ended up
talk afterwards. I've got a few comics left over from inventory because I inherited the old RVD comic book store. So I have a few left over. I sold the bulk of it to a guy in
okay,
Canada. But I've also got and discovered some stuff. I even have it here in the office. I've got some old gaming systems I want to get rid of too. So
okay, cool, yeah,
yeah, I've got a Dreamcast and a 3DO and I mean I've got
yeah.
yeah I got some good stuff and a ton of games for it too.
Yeah, I got the cash. I could get it out over there or bring it with me and just bring everything along with you if you're able to, and we can meet up in Redlands or whatever and do
Yeah, yeah.
something. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I think we could do that. But now that you mention it, we were talking about signatures and stuff. I think it'd be cool to get some of those because, like, I don't know, my favorite era of wrestling is the Monday Night Wars because as a kid, I hardly got to watch anything. I was never a big Hogan guy, even in the NWO. I like hated him, but I loved everyone else.
Yeah.
Later on, I've grown to appreciate Hogan more because of how annoying he was in the NWO. I'm like, that's good,
Come on,
that's
man.
a
He's a
good
Babe
thing.
Ruth of wrestling. Come on.
But like my thoughts back then were, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are my guys. I'm like, dude, how come they never get to be the champion or something? And then I think Scott recently did it. He was on like Eric Bischoff's and Conrad's thing before, and he said that yeah, we used that against them because people loved us but they hated Hogan. So we're like, hey, you know what? This is our guy, so you better learn to love it or whatever. So I still never made me hate the NWO. I loved the NWO. It's like my favorite thing. You can't really see it, but there's an NWO belt right where
I
my
can see
thumb
it right
is.
there. Yeah, I
It's
can see
just
it.
it's just a toy belt, but
Yeah.
right next to it there's a shadow box, and there's an NWO shirt that I was wearing because you mentioned LA earlier.
Mm,
I went to LA a lot more than I ever went to Vegas because my brother used to go to comedy shows and stuff all the time.
same.
We went to a few years ago the Roast Rumble. I don't know if you remember that. Iron Sheik, they had every few minutes someone came out and roasted him, and Buff Bagwell was there, and he was like, I'm not trying to like bash the dude, but like, because everyone bashes him. But this is just the story that happened. I'm not like trying to bash the dude. He was basically drunk before the show started, hitting on girls, and then the show started. And he wasn't even up yet, and he saw my NWO shirt and is like, "Oh, let me sign your shirt." I didn't ask him to sign my shirt. Speaking of shirts, I'm wearing the Sting from WCW Worldwide.
There you go.
On They have a website tribute to WCW, and
Yep.
they're on Twitter as well. So
Follow them. Yep.
most people know about them. So I thought I'd represent that. So I was wearing an NWO six ball like original shirt with the six ball on the back. He's like, "Oh, NWO, let me sign your shirt," and I'm like, "Okay." And so he tries signing it, and he signs it like multiple times. One time he legit had a Crayola marker, was trying to sign my shirt with it, and and I was just like, okay, cool. I liked Buff Bagwell. He was one of my favorite wrestlers in WCW. But I'm like, okay, I've never been a guy like chasing autographs or anything. So I was like, this is weird. The whole show's still going on, and he's trying to sign my shirt. And he came back 3 or 4 times. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. Let me get another marker. And I've never been a guy like, oh, I got to get a picture with you. But at that point, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I get a picture with you? Because I wanted to have a picture to prove the story.
Sure.
And then thankfully, my brother, without me noticing, actually took a picture one time he was trying to sign it. So I have a picture of him trying to sign my shirt, and then I have a picture of me and him.
Okay.
And and then he went on stage and did his thing, and was awkward or whatever. He said I'm not going to go into what he said, but people were kind
That's
of
so
shocked by
buff.
stuff he was talking about.
That's why he's the
Um,
stuff, baby.
so that's kind of what, like, I'm weird. So that's kind of one of my prized possessions in my collection. It's not a card, but it is a signature, and
Okay. Fair
everyone's
enough, man.
everyone's on the autos because it's so ridiculous and stupid. But in terms of cards, like I said, there's stuff I do want to go after. It's just hard for me because like it's new to me. What, thousands of dollars for these cards and stuff, hundreds of
Yeah, but
dollars
you but
even.
you have a vision already. You have a goal of going after, like you said, looking for talent that has a card of them holding a
Yeah.
belt. Now, there's a lot of them out there, of course, like that, but not anywhere near the rest of the stuff, and probably not stuff that's
Hmm.
going to go for a ton of money. So, I mean, you can get it for pretty inexpensive.
I think that's why, it was kind of overwhelming at first because you see a lot of this stuff and it's all high dollar stuff, like the popular things.
Yeah, you
But
got to
I
look
was trying to
past that.
find,
You got to look past
yeah,
that and narrow your focus. And your
I was trying
focus
to
is
find, yeah, I was trying to find what can I get into that I'm going to be interested in that's not too much of a burden to deal with, or like
yeah.
I and so that's what I came up with. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. I'm one of those guys like it takes me a long time to get into something, and then I get like obsessed with it. So once I finally pull the trigger, because I have like seven or eight cards saved on eBay, I just haven't bought yet, and they're just cheap. They're just cheap cards, just a couple of bucks or something. I just haven't
I'm
bought
gonna
them
go in there
yet,
and start looking for some right now. I'm gonna go buy
and
them all from you, so you can't get them.
and resell them.
Yeah,
You're gonna start a new website,
yeah,
onlybelts.com,
yeah. Only beltsoncards.com.
only belts on cards.com. Yeah, that's perfect. Nice
There
and
you go.
concise.
There you go. Yeah,
So yeah, like
it's a very niche market.
so
That's
so
cool.
yeah so yeah, it's a different show than most of your guys like you have on here. I watch most of them, or at least have them on while I'm working. So a lot of these guys have these impressive crazy collections, or they have one piece or something here or there, or they're like really passionate about this
No,
or
but it's
that.
interesting to get other
But
people's perspective. I like to hear all people's perspectives on how they
yeah.
collect. That's the whole part of this particular segment, is to find out, where are you at, what's in your area that you like to buy from, stuff like that. Are you strictly an online buyer, stuff like that, which most people these days kind of are. It just kind of your market. And what do you like to collect? Everybody collects differently. Everybody has a different reason to collect. Some collect for investment purposes, some collect for nostalgia reasons, some collect because they just love to rip packs or boxes or whatever, and
Yeah.
some only collect because they want to get guys who holding belts.
Yeah, see, that's I think that it's a combination of things. Like I was saying, that I'm just on the cusp of starting to buy a bunch of cards and stuff, and I've started. I mean, I did buy cards. Like I said, I bought the living
Sure.
set when I saw that. But I've been in this mindset. The same thing with my gaming collection is I didn't have a bigger gaming collection, which you see behind me over here. I didn't have that big of a collection until I started the business because I could be like, okay, well, I can keep this game and I'll just pay the business this amount at cost. And so I got the game for my collection for a
Well,
good
that's
deal.
exactly, and it's kind of
So
like a philosophy. It's like, buying things at a really good price like that. You get a
mhm,
box of cards for 10, $15. You start selling that stuff, nickel and diming at it. It's like that. It pays for itself.
yeah.
It helps you build up, and you can cash in your lower end stuff for the bigger card you want, that you're really after.
And that's in Zan Morning. He's the king of that. You know,
Yeah.
we mentioned him multiple times in this. So that's the thing is like that's what he does. And I kind of at least try to do that with video games. I try to buy big collections and stuff like that and piece them out and then other stuff as well. I just haven't got into cards because I'm like, I've even asked him, I'm like, should I sell cards on my site? Like, I have so much stuff on there. Should I do a separate thing? Should I just, because most of the stuff you might not find it on my website, but I do sell more card stuff and some other things that are not related to, kind of, the figures and comics and some cards I have on they're just like pop culture stuff, uh, like American Gladiators and stuff like
Dude,
that. That people,
you had rad dudes, for
yeah,
crying out loud.
rad
It's like,
dudes.
I mean,
I found like this one website where
it's an
they
old
had,
90s, like 1990s Pacific card, man.
yeah, I found this one website where they had like packs and packs of a lot of older stuff. I even had Saved by the Bell, the college years cards because
Saw that on your site. Yeah.
what's the most ridiculous stuff I could get on there that I want to put on there? Just fun like pop culture, 80s, 90s stuff. I found
When,
this
when
one
you get
website.
when you start getting packs of like that old dinosaur movie called Baby, I want that.
Okay, I was actually thinking of pulling the trigger before when I first met Zan, and before I realized like where cards were going. I'm like, and he told me like trivia cards, like those trivia card games
Yep.
that I had, the WWF ones. I had both of them. When he told me how much the cards are worth, I'm like, what? Like I didn't think of that. I think I probably trashed all those cards a long time ago, which sucks. But
Ah, sucks.
because
Yeah,
those
don't,
games,
I'm surprised you didn't blame your mom. Say your mom. My mom threw them away.
no, we had it, but it was one of those things. Same thing with I made my own card games and games out of trading cards. It was like a boring game, and I like made some different game out of it, and then eventually it just became trash. So it's like that sucks. But I was telling him back then I was like, oh man, I want to get a box of Last Action Hero cards because
Oh, I
it's just
love that movie.
I love that movie. It's like one of that's I mean personally it's my favorite Schwarzenegger movie. A lot of people don't like it because it's not
I
like it the
freaking
rest of
love
the
that
movies.
movie, man. One,
But
one
yeah,
of my one of my clients that I've worked with before, Angie Everhart's in that movie.
oh really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, like that was our movie as a kid. Like we watched it so many times. We had to have had it on tape because there wasn't DVDs then. But we watched it so much and just all the lines we would quote all the time
Oh,
and
it's
just
a
how
gr-
ridiculous it
it's a
was.
classic film. I love it. It's like right up there, like Tango and Cash for me, and I love that stuff. I, I,
Yeah, it's
I love
perfect.
that. Love it.
Yeah, it was an awesome
So
movie. So I was actually looking at getting cards for that recently. I recently made with my new printer that I got, which I can make my own cards through that. I
mhm.
haven't used it yet, but I started making stickers and buttons and stuff. One of the buttons I actually magnets. One of the magnets I made for my brother was a Last Action Hero, the poster on a magnet. So it was cool because I could just make random weird stuff that you can't get anywhere. And that's kind of like how I am. That's why like I bought the Mr. America cards, like I said, because it's just a weird random thing. Where is there a Mr. America card?
Yeah.
Like you said, one raw deal card that he was on. Then they decided to release the Kane as the Undertaker card. I was like,
Yeah.
but they missed the opportunity. They should have had him instead of with RVD, which that's not even like the greatest photo they could have done of RVD. It's like older WWE RVD. It's not even like
Yeah.
a great picture. They have Kane Undertaker. They should have had Undertaker Kane. It would have been perfect. But I mean, I bought those, but who knows when those are ever going to arrive.
Yeah. You might get them
So
by 2022.
yeah, so I'm buying stuff. I sent in some stuff with Zan. I don't know if I don't think I had any wrestling cards, but I had some like Pokemon and stuff. I sent in with him to PSA, so that's probably going to arrive around the same time that the tops cards arrive too. So
Yeah, I haven't checked today, but I check every day to see what my PSA, my first submission sitting at, still at stage 4.
it's
I sent it,
horrible.
I sent it back last November.
I didn't even know until recently because I knew of PSA, but I never got into like I was never huge into cards or graded cards,
Same.
like at least the hobby itself. Like I was like on my own. So when I found out how like big it was, and then I found out that they were in Newport Beach. I'm like, what? That was like the
Yeah.
beach we went to all the time.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, It's like I should go down there and pound on their door. Hey, where's my
Where's my
cards?
cards? I'm here for my card. One of my best friends works for them. Got a job with them last year. And it's
Oh,
like
really? That's
nothing,
cool.
nothing he can do with him. But of all the submissions in the world to get, he got my submission.
Really?
Yeah, because he's a researcher for them. So basically, it gets to his level at stage 3 to research.
Mm.
And once he goes and researches it to validate the cards, it goes on to stage 4, which is the grading process.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
he sends me a text message and goes, "Dude, of all the bars in all the world,"
That's
he's like, he
crazy.
goes, "I got your order." It's like that. And I go, "Really?" I have 2 orders there. He goes, "I got your order." And he told me the list of what it was. I go, "Yeah, it's my first order." He goes, "I can't believe I got your order." It's like that.
That's nuts.
But like, well, hurry up and rush it through. It's like, I can't do that, man. I can't do that. So it's just interesting to talk to people from all over. It doesn't matter if they're from a different country, if they're from here in the States. I mean, hell, you're 4 hours from me. Uh, it's just, it's interesting to get people different perspective and how they collect, what they collect, how they store things, what they find valuable, it's just, everybody has something different, which is so cool about collecting. I don't care if it's cards, I don't care if it's coins, I don't care if it's comics, I don't care whatever it is. Everybody collects something for some reason, whether
Hmm.
it be nostalgia reasons, investment purposes, whatever it is. And I think it's really cool that you've got into the card games. It helped you want to create more card games. I mean, hell, I think you were creating card games before you started buying card games. I think.
Yeah, my
So
game predates Raw Deal. I don't
yeah,
even know if there was a wrestling. I mean, they had wrestling card games, but I don't know if there was like an official, like WWF or WCW. There were
I don't think
some
so.
I think there was like some board like hybrid
They're
board
board
game card
trivia
games.
games kind of thing. They're
Yeah,
from
stuff
the
like that.
80s. They had so it's got like of course Hogan on the cover and stuff like that
There
and
was
everything.
some WCW game I think
There's
from
a
like
WCW board game as well
way back.
from
Yeah, so
1990 or 91, I think it
see
was.
that's what I remember is I remember that game, and then I remember watching like WCW in the early 90s at my grandma's house. So it was like for some reason I got to see wrestling in random places, but I never got to really get into it until it was actually the last time we moved back to California right when I turned 12, right when the NWO was starting. And then even then it was like off and on. Sometimes we had cable, sometimes we didn't. So I'm not
Yeah,
like so like all these classic cards, like a lot of the stuff, like oh, this Hogan or this Andre. It's like I know the guys and and I appreciate them and stuff, but it's like I don't have the nostalgia for those.
sure.
Like I would have more of the nostalgia because WCW was really my thing because Hall and Nash went there.
Well, I
So
mean,
I would
that's
have
why you collect and you're part of an era that you identify with. Some
yeah.
guys, I know a lot of collectors who identify with the 80s and 70s stuff. That's what they collect. And other guys like, I'm a Roman Reigns fan, so I'm a John Cena fan, so they only collect stuff now. So
Mhm.
it's everybody collects different, man. Even as a kid, for me, I collected baseball cards. I didn't put them in binders. I put them in a shoebox. I cut construction paper out and put them in alphabetical order by team. So I watched the Angels play the Yankees. I told the story before where I go, I say, oh, hey, Thurman Munson. I have his cards. Oh, last year he had 26 home runs. So oh, he could be good. I mean, who knows? So I would follow that kind of thing. That's
Nice.
how I did it. But
Did you ever play there was like a simulation game sort of called there's an APBA baseball.
no.
So they have like all these cards, and if you look them up, there's like the name of the player and then a bunch of numbers, and then you roll two dice. There's a red and a white one, and you would get a number from that on the card, and then you'd go to the sheet based on the situation. Like, hey, do you want to bunt in this situation, or do you want to try hit and run or whatever you want to try, and then you would read the result on the sheet and you would play out a game that way. So I had that one of those as a kid. It was probably 96 or 97. I remember they had a picture of some dude. I don't know who it was. It looked like he may have been from the Giants, and they didn't have the license or whatever. So they like blurred out they covered the logo like my hat actually with
Mhm.
nothing on it. And then like they put glasses on him and a mustache. He looks like he's in a disguise. Like what's this face?
Look,
The
it's
coach
Will
from back in the
Clark
day.
disguised.
Yeah, it could have been even. He's like jumping over a guy. I think he got a guy out at second and was throwing it to first or something. And so even then, like I had baseball cards like you, and I'd look at the back of them, but I'd look at the back of them and I'd say, hey, you know what, this guy is pretty good or whatever. Like I'm gonna give him the same stats as this, and I made my own cards
Sure.
based on the cards I had with it. So
So it's
I
always
kind of
you've always
everything
had
was always a game with me. I always
it's
tried to
always
make
a
games
gaming
out of everything.
mentality. Always a
Yeah.
gaming mentality. Yeah.
So in that case, like for collecting stuff, just to have like I've come up like I said with the magnet board thing I have
Sure.
over here, a good way to display them because like they're on a I don't know if there's anyone else in the world that does this, but like on a top loader with a magnet on the back, just stuck on there, and it's all just kind of put randomly together. Some magnets on there and stuff too. So I feel like I have my stuff on display, because even though I collected some sets, which I like to collect some older sets of stuff too. Um, and then you look through it through the binder. I'd rather do that than have it in a box.
Sure.
Like, if I'm just collecting guys with belts, it's going to go in a binder because I want to look at it. Like, I'm not
Sure.
going to put it, but then I'm also more like, I'm going to pick up a card here or there. Then I have enough where I don't have too many, and I can just put them up on my walls. I'd actually like to have a bigger wall like that with the magnet
Sure.
board, so I can have them all like that. I just like having them
It's
on
cool.
display more than anything.
It's a
Like,
cool
I'm not
idea.
like a big archival guy, like a lot of guys
Yeah.
archive them and have like 10 million boxes and this is the year and all that. And then you
Yeah.
thumb through them here and there. I'd rather have, easily be able to view them
You
either
collect
through
what
a
you love
book.
and you want to go back and look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um,
All right.
so I think that's all I've got for you today, man.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's,
so.
where can people find you? How can they buy from you? How can they follow you?
So right now I still sell on Mercari, so you can find me on there, and I sell on eBay as well. The easiest way is to buy through my shop if you don't have a problem buying on there, because it accepts PayPal and other forms of payment as well. It's JoyPadLad.com. That's where you can find everything I have for sale. It's mostly video games, but some other merchandise related stuff, some wrestling stuff. I'm trying to get like more wrestling stuff on there because that's what I like. But and then cards as well. I'm still trying to decide what I want to do with that, because I'm kind of like, well, if I get cards on there, it's going to be like a ton of new items on there. So do I want to flood that many items on there? Do I want to do a separate thing? And then also, can I set up an account to get supplies? Because that's what we really want to do too, is be able to sell the supplies as well. So I'm still not sure on that one. Maybe if people give me send me a message and let me know, hey, yeah, it'd be cool if you do that, and I get enough people, then maybe I'll be more motivated to do that. But so you can find all my links to other places like eBay and Twitter and Facebook and everything just at joypadlad.com. So if you
Place to
want to
go is
find
right
my
there.
eBay store,
The hub. The hub
yeah,
right there is the
yep,
website.
just scroll all the way down to the bottom and you can see all the links to all the different marketplaces, social media, and everything. And then
So
you can
cool.
even send me a message on there on Twitter. Like I said, the link's on there. If you don't go directly to my site, it's just JoyPadLad shop, because someone stole my name on Twitter. Just the same with you. We're in the same boat. So I just did JoyPadLad
Yeah,
shop.
I mean, or if you want to, guys, you can just go ahead and make a comment below on this video. It's like that, comment.
Yeah, I'll be watching the comments too.
If you got, games you want to sell, you got comic books like that, hit this guy up, man. Help him out. That's it. That's all I got, man.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
if you guys are looking to get cash to buy cards, like I have it all set up on my site. You can right on the main page to click to sell games. It tells you everything to expect and what to do to be able to sell them, what to trade them in for. I offer, way better than you're going to get at GameStop, if you go in the store, or some of these other online stores as well that don't give like the best deals for trade-ins. So yeah, check that out.
Who's going to those stores anymore anyways, man?
Yeah.
It's all online, man.
Yep.
Just go to joypadlad.com. That's all you have to do. Just go there.
All right.
All right, guys. Well,
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it. And if you guys have any comments, suggestions about this episode, you know what to do. Put it down below. It's like that. Hit the like button, subscribe. We love it. So just trying to spread the information of wrestling trading cards. That's what we do. And show some love to that, man. Show some love to wrestling cards.
And one more thing. If anyone that's watching this video or listening to it anywhere else, if it goes anywhere else, if you leave a comment and you want one of these cards that I have, like just to have it because it's cool, I'll send them to you for free. Just let me know.
There you go. Awesome.
I sent some to Zan. Actually, I had a Dennis Rodman one because I know that's.
Oh, nice.
His
You have a Kurt
PC
Angle
size
one?
to do
You have a Kurt Angle one?
I don't think I have any left.
Damn
I have to look. Who else do you like?
That's the only one I collect. Kurt Angle.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I have a Kurt Angle. Because for some reason I only have series 4 and 7. That's it. I lost like all the other cards in between.
No good. You
There
got
may be
some.
of the older ones, I don't think I have a Kurt Angle.
All right, man. Well, with all that, I guess I have to say we're done here.
All right.
All right,
See you
we
guys
are.
next time.